Now, back to Matt and your morning news.
KTRH News Time is 8:47. Joining me right now, Texas Democratic Party Chairman Boyd Richie and the Chairman for the Republican Party of Texas, Steve Munisteri. Boyd, Steve, welcome to Houston's Morning News.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Boyd, I'm not sure that you and I have had the pleasure of chatting with each other, but welcome to the show. I want to read something that came out of your office, and this is just part of the scathing expose on Rick Perry. You wrote, "Perry's done, but his fellow Texas Republicans have no choice now but to keep going forward with his extreme positions that they box themselves into. Mainstream Texans absolutely do not buy into the Republicans' anti-family agenda. And with your help, we're going to make sure each and every Republican running anywhere in Texas is held accountable for their bad decisions." Explain to me what you mean by that, Boyd.
Well, let's start with just the education cuts that were made in this last session of the legislature. Go from there to talk about how we did not fully fund Medicaid, and that unless something is done in 18 months, you better get the spare room ready because Grandma's coming back home.
How would you suggest that gets paid for, Boyd?
Well, first of all, you've got to get into a position that we're not paying $400,000 a month for a security detail for Mr. Perry as he travels around the country.
So that $400,000 a month, that's going to help our kids in school and help those on Medicaid?
Well, you multiply that out, plus let's talk about the fact that we can't pay our teachers. We've laid off teachers. Education has got to be the first priority in this state, and the fact that we can afford to have $400,000 a month in security detail payments coming from the taxpayers, and it's my understanding this is the only presidential campaign that does that.
All right, let me let Steve get in here quickly, and then we'll come back for our second segment. Steve, how do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, education spending was actually increased. The general revenues increase from the Texas funds was $3 billion. The decrease that we saw was from the federal amount, but even with the federal decrease, we still had $125 million increase in spending. As to the Medicare in 18 months, the estimate is between $2 and $5 billion. However, the controller just came out the last couple of weeks and said we'll have a $1.3 billion surplus this next year. We should have between $7.5 and $9 billion in the rainy day fund. So even if you took the worst case scenario, you still can cover that and have billions left in the rainy day fund.
All right, gentlemen, if you'd hang on, when we come back, I want to talk about Rick Perry getting back into this race for president. Mr. Richie, how you see this, why you see him getting back into the race, and Steve, your thoughts on that as well. When we come back, I like this, Democratic Party Chairman Boyd Richie and Republican Party Chairman, both from Texas, Steve Munisteri.
Now, back to Matt Patrick and your morning news.
We are pleased to have Texas Democratic Party Chairman Boyd Richie with us this morning, also the chairman for the Republican Party of Texas, Steve Munisteri. Steve, let me start with you this time. Rick Perry back in the race now after it appeared that he may drop out. Did somebody call him? What do you think happened there?
Well, I talked with the First Lady the night that they said reassess, and when I went up, I said, well, you're running as hard as you can, and she said, oh, we're truly reassessing. So I think people misunderstood what he said. He wasn't giving a prelude to dropping out. He was truly reassessing, and I think he went back. And the key in these races, I've worked in 11 presidential races, is, do you have the money to go on and the resources? And he's got the money and the resources to go on. And I remind people that last time John McCain came in fourth, he only got 13% of the vote, and winner Mike Huckabee got 38% of the vote. So there was a 25% gap between the eventual winner and who won the Iowa caucuses. So, this is just the start of the race. There wasn't a single delegate picked in Iowa. That was just a beauty contest.
Right. Let me ask Mr. Richie, Democratic Party Chairman here in Texas, do you think Perry's going to make it to the April primary here?
No, I don't.
Do you think he's going to drop out before that?
Yes. While you can characterize the vote or the caucus system in Iowa as a beauty contest, the truth is that Iowa Republicans thoroughly rejected Rick Perry. I mean, thoroughly. And I think his presidential campaign has displayed him as a sort of a superficial know-nothing.
Well, they rejected Mitt Romney as well. I mean, if you really want to look at things like that, I mean, if you add things up. But
well, I don't know how they could be terribly proud of any in that field, but that's one man's opinion. But, you know, you've got a guy out there who's forgotten what the voting age is, the third federal agency he wants to eliminate, how many justices are on the Supreme Court. And he just pretty much embarrasses the state of Texas and provides great fodder for late-night talk show hosts.
But they keep reelecting that guy to governor. I wonder why that
Exactly, and I don't understand that. I've been in 6 states since October, and every time total strangers have talked to me.
All of them Democrats, I bet,
I
boy.
say Texas, and they say, how in the world can you all keep electing that guy?
Listen, gentlemen, I thank you for your time. Look forward to having you both back, Boyd Richie and Steve Munisteri.